Hello everyone, welcome to my Solidity series. Today we are going to write our very first smart contract, a simple yet classic Hello World. So for the coding environment, I am going to use Remix ID. It is a browser-based ID. Simply you have to go to their website remix.ethereum.org and you can directly start coding over here. Apart from this, I'm going to use Ganache. So you can have your desktop version of Ganache or even a CLI based version. What Ganache is going to do for us, so it's like a personal Ethereum blockchain, which is used for development and testing. It allows you to simulate a blockchain environment locally on your computer, so you can deploy and test the Solidity smart contracts without having to use a real Ethereum network, that is a mainnet, or paying any kind of gas fees. So it comes as a desktop app, that's a Ganache UI based app, or it even comes as a CLI app. So you can use any of them. And what it has is, so it has some pre-funded accounts. So if I go over here for Quick Start Ethereum and I start this Ganache window, so you can see the each of these accounts is pre-funded with 100 Ethereum, which can be used for the testing purpose. So either you can use this or which can be downloaded from their website, or you can open your terminal and on your terminal you can simply type npm install g Ganache and you can install Ganache Pro as a CLI version as well. And any of this can be used like for the development purposes over here. So these are the two tools which I'm going to be using for the development. So let's start Ganache over here. I'm going to use the CLI version. So I'm going to start Ganache over here. Simply write Ganache once you have installed it. So if you can see over here, now I have 10 accounts. These are the 10 dummy accounts which are funded with 1000 Ethereum each. Okay, now how do we go ahead with? So I'll be creating a new workspace over here. After creating the workspace, you need to select a template. Initially, we are going to select the basic template, which will give us some of the folders which are pre-created. I'm going to call this as Hello World video. Okay. So now if you can see over here, all my folders have been created. I have a contracts folder where I'm actually going to write my contracts, and I have certain other folders like scripts, tests, and the readme text. So these are the things which we would be discussing uh, later on in the video. But right now, let's jump to the contracts part. So if I have to create, if you can see over here, certain pre-generated contracts will be there. It's okay. You can just keep them for now. We would be starting with our first contract, that is the Hello World contract. So how do we go ahead with this? I'm going to right click on the contracts folder, new file. Okay. And then I'm supposed to give a name over here. So I'm going to call this as hello world.sol. Okay. And we are good to go. So our coding starts over here. What is the first thing that we do over here? So here we are supposed to write what is going to be the version and the license. So let's start with this. So I'm going to write over here pragma solidity. Now, if you can see what is the first line that comes over here. So this is the identifier. So basically, how do you want your contract to be shared? What should be the permissions? So all that part comes under this license identifier. If you don't want it to be reshared or something, we can even have it as unlicensed. So how your normal licensing works, you write it over here, whether it's a GNU license that you want, whether MIT license, unlicensed. These are the things that you write over here. The next thing is Pragma Solidity version. So by version, what you mean over here is that which should be the compiler version for your contract. Now, we usually start from zero point 0.8 point something because zero point 0.8 gave you like the, what do you say, the major changes which happened post that. Now, uh, over here, if you want to see the latest contract, latest compiler, so you can see over here what is the latest compiler right now, 0.8.30. So I'll just show you how it works. Now, in case if I write over here 0.8.29, okay, so my compiler should, like my contract should at least be compatible with compiler 0.8.29. In that case, I'm getting an error over here. What does this mean? That specifically my contract can be compiled only with the compiler 0.8.29. If I select that right now, then my error will go away. Okay, but I cannot, it will not be compatible with the compilers which would be coming in future. If I wanted to be compatible, say I wanted to be compatible with 0.8.30, in for that case, what we can do, we can simply have a caret symbol over here. What does this tell? So this tells it will be it is this particular contract which we are going to write. It is compatible with the version 0.8.29 as well as whatever the versions are going to come post that. Okay. Then we start with the next part. So we are going to write over here contract, hello world. Okay. So this line, it basically defines our smart contract. And if you want to think of it, you can think of it like as a class in other programming languages where we put all our variables and functions together. Okay. Then the next thing, what I'm going to write over here is string. Access specifier is going to be public. And my variable name is going to be message. So here what we are doing is we have declared a state variable. What is this called as? This is called as a state variable. Uh, so this state variable, it's called a message and it's of type string as we can see it. And the public keyword over here means that anyone can read this message from the blockchain. So now you don't actually have to go and write the getter function. The Solidity automatically creates a getter function for the public variables. So you don't have to write any kind of extra code over here. Then the next part is we are going to write a constructor. So we are going to make a constructor. Okay. Now inside the constructor, I'm going to initialize this variable. The value for this variable is going to be hello world. Okay. So basically, as we know, what is constructor? So constructor is a special function which is going to run only once when we deploy the contract, and our initial value of the message, that is hello world, that is what we are trying to set over here. So basically, as soon as the contract is deployed, the message is going to store the value as hello world. Then I'm going to have a function over here called as set message. And in this, now I'm going to write something called as, okay, so how this function works is, what is my function name over here? Set message. What is going to be my input parameter over here? So I'm going to write over here string memory, new message. I'll be just explaining this in a minute. And the access specifier over here is going to be public for me. And inside this, I'm going to write the value of message is now going to be new message. Okay. So now what is the meaning of this? So basically, first of all, it's a public function. That means anyone can access it. Uh, Anyone can call it, update the message. The meaning of this string memory is, so this memory keyword, it basically tells Solidity to store the string temporarily during the function execution. Okay. So it's not going to be a persistent memory, just during this function execution, it's going to store the string value. And the function simply overrides the old value message. So what it is going to be right now, what is going to be the initial value of hello world? Then if I want to set a new value, I can store it using this particular function. Okay. So basically that is the meaning of this function. Now let us go to the next part. So here, whatever the contracts are there, they are there over here in the contracts folder. Then I'll be going over here for this tab, that is Solidity compiler, and I'll be selecting the correct compiler. So I can select anything above 0.8.29. If I try to select something like 0.8.27, you can see I'm getting an error over here. Okay, so I'll select 0.8.30, which is the latest compiler. I'll click over here on compile. Okay. Now later on, to avoid further errors like something called as opcode error or anything, we can click over here on advanced configuration. And here, if you go below, you can see what is a hard fork that this particular Ganache is using, because ultimately we are going to connect to Ganache for like the transactions. So it is using the Shanghai EVM version. So here in advanced configuration, we are going to select the EVM version as Shanghai. Okay. And then we'll say compile the code. Once it is compiled, then what do we need to do? We need to deploy it on blockchain. So I'm going to click over here on deploy. This is the tag for deploy and run transactions. And here from environment, I'm going to select something called as custom external HTTP provider. And here we are going to give the same RPC link, which is there for our Ganache CLI. So what is that link that is there? 127.0.0.18545. So we are going to give over here the same link. In case if you're using the desktop version, the port is 7545, but you can change it. You can always have a customized port. And I'll say okay. Now if you see over here, it will give you the same accounts. So these accounts you can go and match over here. So now all our Ganache accounts are loaded over here. Okay. So now we can directly interact with Ganache. Then I'll go over here. Over here, I need to select so whatever your compiled contracts are there, it will be there over here. Now I select over here deploy. Once I click over here on deploy, now you can see over here what has happened. Hello world contract has been created. Our block one is successfully added. Okay, so first time when you're going to deploy it, naturally a block is going to be created. Later on, if it's any kind of write function, then in that case, a new block is going to be created. If it is only a read function, in that case, what is going to happen? That time it's just going to be a function call. So basically something like set message where it's a setter kind of a function. That time it's going to cost you gas and it will be adding a new block. Whereas if it's something called as a getter function, we are just going to make a function call. Then if you want to interact with this contract, you can see over here at below, this contract has been deployed over here. So I click over here and I just click over here on the message. So it will give me what was the initial message, that is hello world. So that will be returned back. You can see over here what is the value that was a string hello world. Now, in case if I want to update the value, so say I'm going to say hi ABC and I'm going to click over here on set a function. So because now what is happening, we are trying to set a value. So it's going to like you're trying to deploy the blockchain or deploy a new value on blockchain. In that case, a new block is getting created. Okay. And it has set a new value over here. If I try to extract now, so now what is the new value of this message variable? That is hi APs. So this is a very basic contract of Hello World and how Remix and Ganache works together. So thank you so much. And if you like my video, then please subscribe to Dev Wisdom, Code Crypt, and Stories of Wisdom. Thank you.